she was diagnosed about 10 years ago? More than that? 2004. 2004. She fought alone. She had the BRCA2 genetic mutation. I don't know why I'm reading about you, but I'm going to, because she's a little bit shy about this, but I'll tell you. So you were 18 before you had 2 separate benign surgeries. 18 years old. People are partying, hanging out with their friends. She's having lumpectomy. Think about that. Then at 21, you were told you had the BRCA2 mutation. 21, you're legal, you can drink. She's being told BRCA2 mutation. Her doctors told her in 2015 she had an 85% risk of developing breast cancer. 30% chance of developing ovarian cancer. So what did she do? She had a hysterectomy and a prophylactic double mastectomy. So when was that? 21?
No, I was 32.
32. Did you have a child by that point?
I did, and my reason is here somewhere. Gabriella.
Thank goodness. Imagine, right? She's embarrassed. Sorry, we won't talk about you anymore. So the whole point, obviously, of being here today is the fact that you were all by yourself when you went through this. And the minute you started sharing, you didn't feel all by yourself anymore. So now I'm going to let you talk about you, because I'm done talking about you. Tracy Milgram College.
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for being in this room today. As many of us know, we've all been in isolation by ourselves through the COVID pandemic. All been through the pandemic. Our newly diagnosed women are women who are taking preventative action, and it's not been an easy journey. So coming here today, I wanted to bring everybody together and call it Life is Amazing. Because no matter what we go through, it's amazing. The days that you don't want to wake up in the morning, the days that you don't want to see people or talk to people, but just come together. As Julie said, I found out at the age of 21 I carried the BRCA2 gene, and I was alone. I didn't have anybody. I had my mom, but what else do you do? Do you look the same? Do you feel the same? How do you communicate with all these other women? So 6 months prior to my journey, starting surgically, I started BRCAStrong as a small group on Facebook, and now we're national of 3,000 women. And knowing that we're making an impact. You know, I say we're unbreakable sisters because when I think of the word unbreakable, you can't be broken, so let's be unbreakable together and let's make a difference.
Thank you, everybody. If at any point you can't hear me, just raise your hand, I guess. Hopefully I carry a little bit. Awesome. So if you're comfortable, how many people here are personally touched by breast or ovarian cancer? If you're comfortable, raise your hand. That's a lot, and look around. We're all so different, right? We know it does not discriminate. I was 32 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had no family history. I had no genetic predisposition. I came to find that out after they tested me and they said, oh, we don't know. But I had triple negative metaplastic breast cancer. At 32, hearing that, it wasn't the best day of my life. I don't know if you can relate. Some of you obviously can. But one thing that I learned as I went through this was that attitude is everything. Right? It's fluffy, right? It sounds like, oh yeah, no kidding, Jess. I'll censor kids. No kidding, Jess. But when you really think about it, what we do, how we react, is everything, sure, in life. But in this scenario, you don't know what's about to happen to you. Because regardless, just as different as every single person who raised their hand is, so is their cancer. Right? I'm going to caveat this entire thing by saying I am not a doctor, so take that with a grain of salt. But I'll give you my experience as I went through it. Triple negative metaplastic breast cancer, it accounts for less than 1% of all breast cancers. It sucks. It's super fast and they don't know what feeds it. They can't stop your estrogen, they can't stop your, they could do it, but it's not going to help. So what do? Get rid of it, chop them off. 32, single, no kids. That's fun. But you do what you gotta do, right? So I did it within 21 days of getting diagnosed. 2 weeks later, I started chemo. But at 32, climbing the corporate ladder, like I said, I didn't have kids. So what's the next logical thing? Let's freeze your eggs that I'll never use, right? So I don't know if you've been through that process. Also not a fun one. I dedicated my book Warrior to my saintly parents because luckily I had them to support me the whole time. But my God, post-surgery, drains, can we just have a collective groan for the drains? The worst thing ever. Worse than me, that might be the worst part of the whole thing, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so post-surgery, painkillers, and now hormones! Extra ones, because that's what you have to do. So I took a 6-week period that normally in vitro the first stage is, and I did it in 8 days. Because it had to be done before chemo, otherwise there was a chance it would kill all my eggs, yada yada yada. We've all heard it, we've all Googled it. If you haven't, don't Google anything. There is one piece of advice I can give to anyone ever in life who gets medical anything ever in life, and I think all the medical professionals here will agree with me and hopefully stand up and cheer. Don't Google anything. Nothing good comes from that. Nothing. You can Google it after you're done, but don't Google anything. So I Googled a little. I mean, come on, right? But I have to give it to my doctors. They made me so confident. They made me not question anything. And we were boom, 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 done. Bye-bye boobs. Hello chemo. Not fun. Not the worst thing ever in the world, but look around. Look at all the strong women that are here right now. And men, we can do anything, but it sucks. It does. Anyone who tells you different is lying. We have so many opportunities to combat that though. In Warrior, I take you through. Warrior is the guidebook that I wish I had the day I was diagnosed. I go through what I experienced from a medical perspective, every detail, gory or otherwise, gross, unnecessary, TMI, that's in there too. So you'll learn, but you'll also hear about or read about the after effects. What does it do emotionally? The science is sound. The doctors know what they're doing. The surgeons are meticulous. The chemo is so prescribed, pun intended, I guess, but it's so exact. It's everything that comes after that, the head games. You play the cancer game in the 6 inches between your ears. It's the hardest part. And granted, this translates probably to every other aspect in life. But specifically here, it's a mind screw, right? It's something you never expected. You certainly can't plan for it, but here it is, you deal with it. I talk in Warrior about how I dealt with it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the crying, the sad, the ugly cries, there's no cute cries, everything, right? And it boils down to the idea that attitude is everything. Every single day of your life, and I'm talking to people who have cancer, who don't have cancer, who have anything else, who have had a bad day, every day is another opportunity to have a good day. It's so cliche, but guess what? Cliches are that for a reason, right? They mean something, they work. Every day when you wake up, you get to start over. If you didn't like yesterday, change something. Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So every day you get to decide the attitude you're gonna take for the rest of your day. Not the rest of your life, because guess what? Tomorrow you're gonna do it again, right? There are so many opportunities day in and day out to choose how you want to live your life. And you know what? Screw anyone who tells you how to do it. Right? You're allowed to do whatever you want, whenever you want. And if you have to, pull the cancer card. Works like a charm. Works like a charm. And put it in your LinkedIn profile. It'll open doors on its own. Because if you beat cancer, you can handle anything. That is my message to you. I'm gonna hand it back over to the team now to transition into the medical panel, but don't forget, raffle tickets are available. Silent auction is here. What Tracy does with BRCAStrong is amazing. It's evolved to include every cancer or every case of breast or ovarian cancer that is not necessarily genetically predisposed, right? So support her, support support the group. They do amazing work. And then of course, if you want to buy a copy of Warrior, I'll be in the back signing them later. Thank you everybody, and back to you, Julie.
Anyway, good afternoon everybody. Hello. I'm Tracy and the group at BRCAStrong. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. There's not much. I am very grateful for the work that Tracy and the entire board has been doing. We all go through our own different being in the space that I'm in. I'm working, I'm seeing, I'm trying to prevent cancers in women from all of our communities, in particular like my community of the Caribbean and South Florida. And we also go through our own experiences. And I have to say that I'm grateful for the community support that this group has provided to me personally also. And I think that's all I want to share today, that even though you see people living their lives, we go through experiences that just knowing that a community exists is sufficient. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. If I stand over here, a little bit. Okay. I just briefly, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for Tracy for being so inspirational, and I'm so happy to meet all of you. Please come say hi. I just wanted to briefly impart a couple words of not advice, but kind of things that I like to tell women who've experienced a cancer diagnosis or know someone going through it or are trying to keep other women from having to go through what they did. And the first thing is, if you're faced with a diagnosis, find the right team for you. And it really is a team, you know? It's not just the surgeon acting in a vacuum. What you don't want is the surgeon being an island and making all of the decisions, because it really is important to have team members like my colleague Dr. Kaufman behind me, deciding, you know, not only what treatment you need, but in what order, and making sure that we can, having a team that you feel good about, that you jive with. Like, you may have like an amazing, well-trained team, but don't get along with someone, like, it's okay, go get another opinion. Like, find a team that you like, that you trust, that works together really well, and encourage your friends, your colleagues to get second opinions. And then lastly, pay it forward. So, you know, it's October and you see, you know, a lot of pink events and talk about survivorship, but don't forget about screening. You know, we've all had that friend who doesn't want to get their mammogram, and it's true, like, mammograms don't work the best in all patients, but it's a good first step, getting you in so we can see if you have dense breast tissue, do you need another type of imaging, and it's a good first step, at least so we can decide what is the best test to screen you, because it really does make a big difference if we can catch this early. And then lastly, even if your mammogram is normal and you feel something new, I mean, mass, nipple discharge, skin changes, we're going to maybe, there's so many patients who told me about their experiences and they weren't taken seriously. Like, advocate for yourself, find someone else, get in, and see someone who's going to take your concerns seriously, because it makes just such a huge difference. So I'm happy to walk around later and answer any questions, and just thank you so much for having me.
I want to thank everyone for being here today. You guys are really, it's really you who inspires us. So I want to say thanks to Tracy for, you know, organizing this and putting her story out there and sharing with everyone. So just a little bit about what I do. So as a GYN oncologist, you know, when I first started my medical journey, I didn't know what a GYN oncologist was, and what really drew me to the field was kind of the unique opportunity to provide truly comprehensive care, where I have the opportunity to walk through patients' journey with surgical and medical treatments and really be there with them through that part of the journey. So that's kind of what got me interested in GYN oncology. And then in hereditary cancers, my mentor as a fellow kind of really like opened the door for that aspect of it. So I'm really honored to work with the team here in running the hereditary cancer program and counseling women, because everyone is unique, and that's already been said today. today. Every person's kind of decision points are going to be different, like when to take out your ovaries, when to have the mastectomy. Like it's never the same for each individual person. So it's really an honor to work with every person and patient that I come across. And a lot of when she mentioned innovative ideas come from you guys, right? So it's when you all tell me what your symptoms are and what goes through your head in terms of, these are the decision points. That's where I, kind of get a lot of my ideas from and how to help women that are experiencing this and to go through that journey with you. So I want to thank everyone for being here today, and I apologize, my voice just doesn't carry as well, but thank you, and thank you for having me.
More important than that, I am a mom. My biggest cheerleader is over there, Kennedy Rose. She was 6 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And let me tell you, how many days this thing got me out of bed and said, Mom, you have lessons all day. Come down the hall. If you put on some leggings, you can make it to the beach for a sunset. And going through breast cancer at 37 as a physician, dealing with a family who had already been with me through, I don't know how many lumpectomies since the age of 21, how many biopsies, how many images, and every time my family was like, oh my God, it's cancer. And I was like, listen, people, y'all gotta calm down. And I got so stressed about having to calm my family down from my cancer diagnosis. I actually stopped telling them when I was having procedures and biopsies. And I never thought, even as a physician, even as someone who found her first one at 21, even as someone with a family history of not breast cancer but prostate cancer and colon cancer, I just never thought it would be me. And not only did I never think it would be me, I was trying to make sure it wasn't me. So I tried to prevent cancer. So at 35, I found a lump in my left breast on a routine self-breast exam, which if you guys in this space don't do that already, please do. If the people in your life aren't already doing that, please encourage them to do so, to know their bodies. When I found a lump in my breast at 21, it was the sign of a third scanning. And I knew it was new and I knew it was different because I knew my body. And that wasn't cancer. And I was fine until 35, I was fine until I wasn't. And then I had my first precancerous lesion. And so I was enrolled in a high-risk breast program. I had an oncologist, I had a breast surgeon, all before I ever had breast cancer. And every 3 months there would be something on an ultrasound, something on an MRI. And after repeated biopsies, I said, well, can't we just have it long? Can't I just get a bigger and better pair? Like, why are we doing this? This is crazy. And my surgeon said to me, no, it's too radical. Like, we have you under surveillance. If you get something, it's going to be caught early. It's just too radical to cut your breast off, and we aren't going to do that. So then I started doing what any normal, sane-minded human being would do. I started bargaining, and I was like, well, what if I had a gene? Like, if I have a BRCA gene or something, wouldn't that make me a candidate for this surgery? And as a physician, I was like, just cut my boobs off. Prophylactic bilateral mastectomy, even with all of those board certifications, wasn't my language. It wasn't something that I was necessarily encouraging patients to do, because back then that was somebody else's job. I refer to you, and whoever does what they're supposed to do. And all my hats, that's not my thing to tell somebody to do, right? So my surgeon said, no, you don't qualify, you don't have the right family history, we're just going to keep watching. So I went to my oncologist, who had then put me on tamoxifen, trying to suppress my hormone production and trying to decrease my risk of developing breast cancer. And I said, what do you think? Don't you think I should get the surgery? Should I cut my boobs off? And she was like, no, it's too radical. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, is there a script? Is that what we just say in this cancer center? And so then I said, well, what about genetic testing? Shouldn't I get that? And she's like, no, you're not a candidate. Now this is in 2018, and since 2018, the rules have changed. Since 2018, we've had enough people of color, enough physicians, enough advocates, enough people who understand what makes me different and what makes many people in this room different. What makes someone like myself have a 40% greater chance of dying from breast cancer, have having more aggressive breast cancer and getting diagnosed at a younger age, right? That difference has been recognized, and so now NCCN guidelines say if your patient is Black and has cancer, you need to give them a genetic screening. If you understand that they have a risk for breast cancer, you need to give them a genetic screening, because what we all know in this room, right, is most breast cancer patients aren't going to have a family history of breast cancer, right? So I didn't have that family history. I didn't have the screening thing that made people act. And even as a physician being taken care of by my own colleagues, my own advocating, my own conversations with my primary doctors and bringing more things to their attention somehow wasn't enough. So at 37, I got a mammogram and an ultrasound, just like I did every 3 months. And it was unremarkable. And don't we just skip out of the doctor's office all night? Woo-hoo, we got the test, it's unremarkable. Great. I go see my breast surgeon, he does a clinical exam. He asked me about symptoms, and I wasn't really thinking about it. In retrospect, I was having aching in my right breast, which is where my cancer was, and I was total tired. I was fatigued, but I did what every other mother does. I work hard, I work 40, 60, 80 hours a week. I'm a single mom, I'm stressed, that's why I'm tired. So when my physician asked what was going on, I didn't even bring it up, you know, because I was making excuses. And I see women, especially mothers, do this all the time in my office. They have a new symptom and they automatically start dismissing it. And we're already dismissed enough by our healthcare professionals. Not all of them, I'm not a Dr. Basher by any means, obviously. But I didn't think of it. So my physician did a clinical exam. I hadn't felt any lumps, he hadn't felt any lumps, and he said, okay, we'll get an MRI in 3 months. We'll do our usual screening. And before I got out of my cute pink hospital gown and into my street clothes to get back to work, because I never stopped and took a break to take care of me, he came back in the room and he said, let's just get an MRI. Let's get it now. Let's compare oranges to oranges. And that MRI diagnosed my big, whopping 9.5 centimeter stage 3 breast cancer. My cancer was hormone receptor positive. It was complicated by 9 out of the 15 lymph nodes that were ultimately removed. And when we planned for my surgery, I said, I'm not doing this crap every 3 months. Take the other one off. And so in pathology, they actually found that I had cancer on my left breast as well. So I had cancer that, like 10 to 15% of cancers, evaded the detection of a mammogram and an ultrasound. So it's already mentioned in the space, right? If you have symptoms, you have a lump, and your imaging is negative, pursue additional imaging. And if your doctors aren't budging, if they're not meeting your needs, move on. I was polite. I didn't want to offend my colleagues. I assumed that my colleagues would do the best for me. I assumed that they would go all out because I go all out for my patients, and they didn't. So at 37, with now bilateral breast cancer and lymph node involvement that evolved over just a 6-month period, or at least from what we could tell from MRIs, it was like, well, you're too young to have breast cancer. How many people in the room have heard that statement? Right? Everybody. You're too young to have breast cancer. It's in both of your breasts, and so now you need genetic testing. And so only after I was diagnosed with bilateral breast cancer, I found out that I have a PAL-2 genetic mutation that predisposes me to breast cancer and pancreatic cancer and other cancers. And I also found out that I have an ATM gene of undetermined significance, which people of color are more likely to have because they're being compared against the largely white gene, right? So when I faced with all of this, my sister said, well, what are you gonna do? And I said, well, I'm gonna eliminate this shit because I don't know what else to do with it. I'm gonna make sure that no other young Black woman has to experience a cancer she didn't have to have, or doesn't have to suffer through the side effects of chemotherapy without any hope, without any, natural or medicinal ways to manage her side effects. I'm going to make sure that our women know it is imperative to take care of your mental state, your spiritual state. It's important what you eat, because a lot of times in the cancer community you hear people say,
well, you know, F it, you already got cancer, eat whatever you want. Well, yeah, that's true to an extent. And I'm certainly not one of those people who's chasing people and telling them that sugar causes cancer, because we know that's not it, right? But we need to do other things, right? We need to maintain healthy body weights. We need to manage our stress levels. We need to have physical exercise. We need to have healthy outlets to deal with our emotions and to deal with our stressors. So my philosophy is that we undergo our treatment. So our treatment, if it's surgery, if it's chemo, if it's radiation, if it's hormone suppression, if it's immunotherapy, right? Do what the science has told us works. Do what gives women remissions and cures, or what keeps people alive and, you know, lively during metastatic cancer, right? So treat. Eat. It does matter what we put in our body, and it also matters what we put onto our bodies, right? Things that we put on our skin are in our bloodstream in 26 seconds. And I don't know what everybody else's people does, but I know my people, we're splashed in all the perfumes, we're relaxing our hairs, our chemicals that we use in our hair are completely unnatural and unregulated, and we're kidding ourselves if we don't think that that has an impact, right? Make sure you take care of your mental health. I chose to be in the practice of gratitude. Every single day I had to find 3 things that I was grateful for, and some days it was just, I'm grateful for health insurance. I'm grateful that, you know, my neighbors sent a meal for my family to have lunch when I was going through chemo. I'm grateful for a 6 but now 10-year-old to get me out of bed, and I didn't have the will to do it on my own. And I chose joy, because I knew that I was not going to be happy when I was thrown up, or when I was nauseous beyond belief, or when I was fatigued. I knew I wasn't going to have that conditional happiness, but I knew that I could choose joy, and I knew that I could use my mindset to help me overcome the things that I was experiencing when I was going through cancer treatment. So on the other side of my chemo, people would say, wow, I've never seen somebody go through cancer like you. You almost made it look easy. And I said, well, I guess that little formula I came up is working. So, you know, I took my lemons, my literal lemons, I made lemonade out of those babies, and I choose to use my energy and my advocacy to continue to educate our community, to serve our community, and to do things like show up for someone like Tracy, who is an absolute powerhouse, who's doing amazing things in BRCAStrong. I've seen Tracy do more than I've seen Susan G. Coleman and ACS do in the 3 years that I've been a cancer patient. I could tell you probably out of 50, 60, 100 women who Tracy made sure got mastectomy packages, something I would have killed to have, because we didn't know what the hell to do when I got diagnosed with breast cancer. So that is amazing. So I'm so proud to support her. I'm so proud to support all of the women who are experiencing breast cancer. And breast cancer brought a lot of things out of me that I didn't know were in me. I was never someone who would really stand before an audience of strangers or a family who I have connections with by a diagnosis that is, you know, tied to a little pink ribbon. But here I am telling y'all all my business, because I know it will help somebody. I know one little piece of my story somebody will take home and they'll tell it to a family, a friend, or a neighbor, instead of telling people, oh, I know a lady who had breast cancer but she died, right? We don't want to share those stories. Yes, it's a reality in our community, but our reality is also that there's so many amazing people in this community, including healthcare providers and survivors and thrivers. I don't know what happened to the mic. Alright, so anyway, there's so many people in our community, patients, survivors, thrivers, healthcare providers, doctors, surgeons, researchers who are doing all the things that we absolutely need to get the phenomenal outcomes that we witnessed for some people, but we need to see those phenomenal outcomes across the board, and we need to end those disparities. So continue to support the organizations that are helping women in real life, that are really have foot to the ground, that are really bringing people together, doing the work, making people feel good, giving them the support that they need. Continue to support families and co-survivors and spouses and partners and children of those experiencing this diagnosis. And then also support the survivors who out of their pain have found something that they're passionate about and something that is their purpose and drives their life. Out of my diagnosis, I wrote 2 journals, I have a book in the mix, and I actually created a supplement line. Just because as a doctor, as an infectious disease doctor, my biggest fear was getting sick while I was on chemo. So I created a supplement line that would help support your immune system and help rebuild your white count and help take care of your bone health and all of those things. Help keep you nutritionally sound while you're going through such a depleting diagnosis and treatment. So continue to support everyone here who's supporting this community. And please, again, like everybody has said, participate in the silent auction. Get your raffle tickets. I'm about to get my tickets as soon as I find my wallet. And thank you everybody for coming out and supporting tonight. I'm Dr. Alexia, and I create healing pathways for whole health from mind, body, and spirit.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm Dr. Baba. I am not here to speak to you as a medical specialist today. I am here to speak to you as a cancer patient and to help you realize. Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. I am here today because I want everybody to realize a few things. Firstly, your team matters. We've already heard that today. Your team matters because my team is awesome. Dr. Kalpa there and Dr. Rojas right there. I can honestly tell you they saved my life. And not only did they save my life, they have been cheerleaders for me this entire time. I call them my friends. My children know them personally because Dr. Kalpa literally spoke to them and said, look at my face, I am going to take care of your mother. And that alone gave my boys strength and courage to go through this with me and to be my spine because they knew Mama was going to be okay. Dr. Rojas right there, my goodness, I don't know where to start on that one. You know, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, like everybody else here as a survivor or going through it currently, I faced a choice. And I could either let breast cancer take over my life and bring me to my knees, or I could rise to my feet. And with Dr. Kalpa and Dr. Rojas by my side, that's exactly what I chose to do. Now, beauty after cancer or during cancer is something, you know, they're not really synonymous with each other. They're almost oxymoronic in some ways. People don't think cancer can be beautiful. And when I would go to oncology offices, radiology suites, getting my biopsies, my tests, I saw that cancer patients had death in their eyes. And I felt that if that's how they felt, then how are they going to fight cancer? So much of it, like, you know, today is between the years, not so much mentally. So I decided that I was, at the age of 42, going to go after Miss Florida. I never joined a pageant in my life. I don't do that, but I did. And 1 month after my mastectomy, I walked the stage with short hair, no extensions, no wig, and with my scars clearly visible, and I won. And I truly feel that these two ladies here wear that crown with me, because if it wasn't for them, A, I would not be here, B, I would not have won. I could not have walked the stage. So really find yourself the right team. Don't let cancer defeat you emotionally, mentally. Know that there's life beyond cancer and that life beyond cancer can be beautiful. So thank you so much.
Nice to have you all here today. And I know Tracy, she's amazing, and she decided to go this event. Life is amazing. And this is a celebration of our life and our relationships and our everything that we enjoy in life, because there is so much to be grateful for. Now, when people ask me, how can you not be depressed living with cancer? My answer is usually, if I had got the cancer, I'll be killing myself, but I haven't, right? So I'm here to just do everything I can to make that survivorship the best it can be. And it's either that you can cure the cancer, you can have somebody heal from cancer or live with cancer the best they can. And then you can hold their hand and their family and their friends' hands. And I'm told people can't hear me. No?
Yes, yes, we can hear her.
So survivorship is the day somebody's diagnosed, the day they die. And that includes the family members, the caregivers, the friends. We should not go alone when we are in life. And that's where these, you know, groups and support groups and camaraderie that we have and Tracy's thoughts and work is so important, right? Because everybody deserves to have somebody to lean on.
because I bring the noise when I come, right?
Yeah!
You guys look good. And you know, it really does my heart good to see everybody out here today. I got my West Palm Beach crew that came all the way out here to see me, so it makes my heart feel full. You know, Tracy asked me, she had called me, she asked me, she said, Alexia, can you come out here and come speak? Tracy's one of the few people that I say yes. I don't even ask any more questions. I just say, okay, Tracy, I got you. And then I said to her, so what's going to be the theme? She said, life is amazing, Alexia. And I said to myself, I didn't say it out loud, but I said it to myself, life is amazing. This shit doesn't know that we're going through the pandemic. You know? We got so many people don't think that life is amazing right now, but one of the reasons why I love Tracy is because she's able to see, so she can focus in on what's positive in this world, even when there's so much negativity. You know, she's one that literally, she's not only seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but she's crawling through that tunnel and she's coming like this and she's going to take every one of us with her. So I'm so glad that everybody is here. You know, as a psychotherapist, one of the biggest questions that I ever get asked is, Alexia, you know, how do I make myself happy? What are some of the things that I have to do? You can't hear? Can you guys hear me in the back now? I'm asking the question. I didn't hear. You know, one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, what do I need to do to make myself happy?
That's a great question.
It's a big question, Julie. It's a huge question.
What's the answer?
I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to bring it. I told you. Right? The biggest question. And there's 5 strategic steps that I've come up with for you guys that can be simple. It can be utilized for anybody. I don't care what walk of life you're in, who you are, where you come from. 5 strategic steps, simple steps. The first one is that you gotta own your own happiness. You gotta take that out of the hands of other people demanding that they make you happy. Right? You gotta take it out of their hands. You have to take responsibility for what makes you happy in this world. Regardless of what's going on in your life, your situation, regardless of people, regardless of stuff or how much money that you have, regardless of that, you gotta find peace within your heart. You gotta figure out what that is and find peace in your heart and not in yourself. The second thing that I have is to challenge your story. Because we torment ourselves with a story about how we believe how our lives are. We torment ourselves. You gotta challenge your story. Challenge it and take the steps that you need to take so that you can go beyond. Because we tell ourselves that our life story or the story that we're telling ourselves isn't true, when in reality it's a perspective truth. A perspective truth that you need to challenge and walk past and see what is going to be right for yourself. If you wrote the story, you've got to change the narrative. You got to tell yourself that, guess what, I'm going to question myself, I'm going to challenge who I am, what I think about myself, what other people have told me about myself, what is my life circumstance, what people have done to me, what has happened to me. I'm going to challenge it, I'm going to rewrite that story. Number 3 is to enjoy the journey and not the destination. We all know that in our lives, we have so much that is going on. We've heard some amazing speeches here today about the lives of others on their journey to success, on their journey to motivate you on their journey. And the reality is that we have to celebrate every step that comes along the way. Not just an end. Not saying that, okay, I'm going to be happy when I get this next test, I'm going to be happy. When I get the positive report. When I find a man. When I lose these 15 pounds. Oh, that was mine. The 15 pounds is mine. But we are going to celebrate every single step along the way, regardless of where we're at. Because we don't just celebrate the end result. You don't just celebrate the end of the journey. You have to celebrate every step all along the way. Our 4th is going to be really balancing life and work. You know, there's nothing in this time that we've been in right now. I'm going to tell you, I'm 43 and I'm going to call it out there because I still think that I look good. Right? But in this season, I have seen more death, heartache, than I want to imagine. And on the other side of that, there's nothing like seeing death and suffering and trauma that makes you really contemplate your own life. You know, what you need to do in order to give it fruit and to birth that fruit so that we can make sure that we are balancing and we're not just working for nothing. There's a saying that is, you know what, who works hard has a lot to do. The people that strive for more, people don't realize on the other side how much they're doing to get there. And you cannot be successful if you only do someplace. We got to realize, what are we working for? When we look at our families and look at all these beautiful people here today, why are we here? You know, we work hard so that we can get times like this. But we can't play all the time either, because guess what? If you play all the time, it'll be fun, but probably going to be a little bit broke. So the play's only going to last for a little bit of time. But you have to balance. So guess what? At the end of our days, when time's moving on, when you're seeing someone that may not make it, you can say, oh my gosh, my memories are going to keep me through so much because I was able to give that time. I was able to really invest my life into this person. They were able to invest it into me. And this is what takes me to my 5th point, which this one is really near and dear to my heart. And it's something that I've had to learn along the way, because life, people see the outside and they don't know everything that you've gone through prior, right? My 5th point is relationships and really cultivating them. Looking at not just the relationships that you have with others that are so important, it is an innate need to have positive relationships with others. But also, what is the relationship that we have with ourselves? I heard a doctor today speak about how she saw herself, you know, after the cancer. Another one that was brave enough to say 1 month after my surgery, I went and I stood that stage and I rocked it and I won. And I love that. You know, your relationship with yourself counts more than what you see on the outside, but often we give other people more grace than we'll ever give ourselves. So I want to really challenge you all today to really look at yourself and to feed in and to find out what is it that I love about myself. Every day when you stand up, you make your own motivational cards. I think we stuck one in each and every out basket. But I want for you to stand up and say, listen, I love myself because, and you pick 3 things and you repeat it, because I believe in the power of 3. You repeat those things and forgive yourself and forgive others for the things that have gone wrong. When you have things that have gone in your life that you hold so strongly to you that it's taking away from your happiness, it's time to excuse me kids, let that shit go. Yeah! Let it go. Yeah! You know, we cannot hold on to that forever. Because what's happening is that you're holding on to it more than the other person. They might not even realize that you're upset with them, right? And you're hindering yourself from getting to the other steps of where you need to be in your life. You know, I look around today and I see, when I tell you that my heart feels good, it feels good to see relationships like this happen, and that my good friend Tracy is brave enough to step out despite whatever her circumstances are, to bring people together to know that guess what, you can have relationships. You can feel like a sense of purpose. You can know who you are. And you know, by doing this together, we are going to make moves beyond anything that you've ever imagined. So I thank you guys for your time.
I got a phone call on a Friday afternoon that I missed, and my daughter could witness it. She heard the voicemail, I need to talk to you, can you get back to me? I heard the voicemail Monday morning. When I heard this voicemail, I was so upset that I missed a call from somebody. This somebody happened to be Anastasia's mom. Anastasia was diagnosed with breast cancer. I will let you tell a little bit about your story in a minute. Her mother called me and said, I need stuff to get through surgery for my daughter. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I said, here's my address, come over. She came over within a half hour. I had no idea who this woman was. I had no idea about her beautiful daughter. I was touched. She told me her story. She put off her exams. She waited until she had a diagnosis. Within 10 minutes, her mom left my house with a package and went home. And today, she is here 2 weeks, post-mastectomy, to share a little bit about her story.
Going into this process is just so scary. I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in February of this year, and a little bit about me going back years is I was Miss Florida, so I'm so happy to be amongst other beauty queens. I didn't know that. A former Miss Florida USA, so I competed at Miss USA and Miss Universe. I'm also an actress and a model and a social media influencer, so you guys can all follow me on YouTube and on Instagram. And this entire journey has completely changed my perspective on what it is to be a woman and what it means to be strong and what it means to be a fighter. So I'll be completely honest with you guys, I modeled lingerie, I modeled swimwear, very teeny weeny bikinis, and never thought anything of it. And now, having been post-mastectomy, it's really changed my perspective perspective on what it means to be a fighter and a woman and classy and strong, and this organization really embodies all of that. So it's so wonderful to be amongst all of you lovely ladies, and thank you so much to all of the incredible sponsors, the bras post-mastectomy, the sweatshirts, pillows for underneath your arms when they remove the lymph nodes, and it's just an entire package of love, and there's so much